Welcome to Architecture Business Club, the show that helps you build a better business in architecture so you can enjoy more freedom, flexibility and fulfillment. I'm your host, John Clayton, and if you're joining us for the first time, don't forget to hit the follow or subscribe button so you never miss another episode. Did you know that less than 7% of podcasts make it to 100 episodes? Well, we've just reached that milestone with this, our 100th episode. Over the past couple of years, we've shared conversations with architects, entrepreneurs, coaches and creatives from around the world. For this special 100th episode, I asked past guests and listeners to send me a short voicemail. What you'll hear today are their reflections, tips and good wishes, stitched together into a celebration of everything we've built so far.
Hey John, it's Chris Tucker here from youpreneur.com. Just wanted to chime in real quick and wish you a massive congratulations on the 100th episode of the Architecture Business Club podcast. No small feat at all for any show in any industry to get to 100 episodes. So congratulations to you, your listeners, and everyone involved in the show. Keep doing what you do. You're a real inspiration.
It's Bob Gentle from the Building Your Leader Brand podcast. I just wanted to say well done. 100 episodes seems like a mountain to climb when you start, and you have climbed it with quite some flair. 20,000 downloads, every one of them pure gold, specifically for your audience. You have innovated the podcast industry in your niche wonderfully, and you have flown as a podcaster. And I couldn't be more proud to call you a friend.
Hey, John, this is Brian McCartney from Mark. I wanted to reach out and say congratulations on 100 episodes of Architecture Business Club. That's a great achievement, and you should be really proud of what you've done. I was very thrilled to be on your show and look forward to coming back on sometime. Enjoy the celebration, and we'll talk soon.
Let's hear from more of our guests about what the show has meant to them. First, some reflections from past guests on the value of the podcast and what it's meant to them personally and professionally.
Angela Lyons from Lyons Creative. I just wanted to say congratulations. Gosh, what a milestone to reach 100th episode. That is amazing. So well done. Congratulations to you. I'd come on here to actually say congratulations because you helped me loads with my podcast, even though I was interviewed on your podcast and we talked quite a bit, that we separated into two parts, which I absolutely loved, and you're doing an amazing job. So thank you for having me on your podcast. But you also helped with my podcast and inspiring me to get things going and put things, production, I suppose, in the right place. So thank you so much. I am ever grateful for you. And I'm really glad that we've got to know each other over the years, and you keep going with your podcast. Celebrate with you on the 200th episode, maybe. Good luck and all the best and congrats. How are you going to celebrate? Another podcast episode, another slice of cake, champagne, maybe? Whatever you do, congratulations and keep going. You're fantastic.
Here's Joe Wright, architect and founder of Joe Wright Architects and guest on episode 79.
Hi, John. Many congratulations on the 100th episode of Architecture Business Club. It's a fantastic podcast. It's so helpful to me, and I'm sure to many, many others. You're a fantastic host and you bring in absolutely brilliant guests. I've learned so many insights and tips over the episodes that I've listened to. And there was a time actually when I first started listening to the podcast where I felt the practice was in a bit of a hole and I was coasting, and the podcast and the content and the guests and the subject matter really helped me take a step back from the day-to-day grind and think about the business as an entity, as a strategic thing that I was actually steering, a healthy thing for me to do. And it really just helped me get back into the driver's seat and control it. And there's that, and they're just really fun.
Hi everyone, this is Anne Vanner, and I just want to say a huge congratulations to the Architecture Business Club podcast on reaching its 100th episode. It's been such a pleasure to be part of the journey as a guest and to see how this platform has grown into such a valuable resource for us all.
Here's mindset expert and business strategist Mark Franklin. Happy 100 episodes for the Architecture Business Club. John, congratulations. You're doing amazing things. I know the show is not just about architecture. You've pulled together a fantastic list of really fascinating and creative guests who are starting so many brilliant conversations. You yourself are a phenomenal host. I remember my time on episode, 73? You got some great questions in there, making me really think about my own story. I really hope your many, many, many listeners continue to enjoy the show. Here's to the next 100, and thank you again for everything that you're doing. Cheers, man. Here's Aya Schlachter, CEO and founder of MGS Global Group and guest on episode 35.
Just wanted to say congratulations on 100 episodes. What you've built with the Architecture Business Club is truly amazing. You may not always know who's on the other side listening, but the value you're sharing is making a huge impact. I can say that from experience. It changes lives in ways you may not even realize. Your passion and authenticity make big topics easy to understand, and your kindness really comes through in every episode. As a fellow podcaster, I know this milestone is huge. Most podcasts don't even make it past episode 3, so 100 is something to be proud of. Thanks again for having me as a guest. It was such an honor. Excited to keep listening and see what you do in the next 100. Congrats again, John.
Richard Petrie here, and I just want to congratulate you on the 100th podcast for your show. It's a remarkable effort of consistency and stamina. The reason I think it's really important is that I think architecture, someone said to me once that there is no other profession in the world that has their fees questioned as much as an architect. And I think that's probably true, given the years that you have to go through to become qualified. You know, you train as long as a doctor or a lawyer, but you're not paid like a doctor or a lawyer. And so the service that you are doing, and that we're all trying to do, to try and help the design profession to get paid what they're worth, is something I think is a great thing to be doing. So congratulations on your 100th episode. It's a remarkable achievement. I certainly enjoyed the interview that we did, and congratulations, and I wish you all the best for a long, successful future. And congratulations and well done to all your listeners.
My name's Beatrice Rinchetti, and I recently guested on the Architecture Business Club podcast. I enjoyed the experience massively. John is a great host. We had an amazing chat. What I love about this show is that John has created a true knowledge hub for any small business owner in the architecture space. There's advice about marketing, running a business, the financial side of things. Everything is super hands-on, super, super valuable. Congratulations, John, on creating such an amazing platform for us.
It's James Talman from the National Federation of Roofing Contractors. Many congratulations on your 100th episode of the Architecture Business Club. Believe it or not, I remember I was on episode 15 with you, and we chatted about reducing risk in roof design. Early engagement is vital, that we can have design that can be built with no compromises. So once again, many congratulations, and speak soon.
Here's Maya Kovacic-Kalra, former architect and marketing coach and guest on episode 84.
Congratulations on your 100th episode on your podcast, and to many, many more, to hundreds and hundreds more. That's an amazing achievement. And you were my first podcast that I ever done. I was a little bit nervous, but you made it so good, so smooth, and so enjoyable. Then I really enjoyed it, and I would do it again. So if you ever want me to be your future guest on another podcast, I would be very, very happy to do it. So again, big congratulations, and to a great podcast future, or whatever you decide to do.
Here's Derek Timms, architect and founder at the Sourcing Collective and guest on episode 59.
Hi, John. Congratulations to you and the Architecture Business Club for reaching your 100th episode. It's really a fantastic achievement to be proud of. Keep them coming. They're really helpful and supportive, and all the best for the future. Cheers, Derek.
Here's Helen Nurse, co-founder of digital agency Capture One and guest on episode 74.
Hi, John. Huge congratulations on hitting 100 episodes of the Architecture Business Club. I loved being a guest and sharing how architects can use WhatsApp to connect with clients in a smarter way. And what I really admire for your podcast is your consistency. So few people manage to keep going week after week. It's such a credit to you and the value you bring. And what I really love about the show is how practical and helpful and honest your conversations are. You have such a great range of guests and it's just dead helpful. So here's to the next 100.
I'm Ray Brown from Archibiz. I've had the pleasure of appearing on John's podcast a couple of times now, and I'm always pleased to speak to John because he's so bright and breezy and he cares so much about the architecture profession. And he and I share some real shared thoughts about architecture and how architecture needs to change, and in particular in the business side of architecture. No point in saying no one teaches us about business when there are people like John around and companies like Archibiz. So congratulations, John. I see you've just reached 20,000 downloads. That's fantastic. Keep up the good work, and always keen to be on your podcast if you'll have me again.
Of course, this podcast wouldn't be what it is without the people who listen week after week. Here are some voices from our podcast community.
It's Lee Smith here. Congratulations on making it to 100 episodes. You don't look a day over 40. The podcast is a highlight of my Thursday. I guess what I love the most about the show is the sheer variety of guests you have on. From people talking about bullet journaling or time management, through to marketing gurus talking about online content or architectural photography. As a small business owner, it really is a valuable resource.
It's Stephen from Nixon Architecture. Keep up the good work. The Architecture Business Club weekly podcast is fantastic. You've had 100 episodes, so roll on 1,000. Cheers.
Here's Vlad Borislavov, architectural designer and founder of Monochromo Design Studio.
Congratulations on the 100 episodes. That's a massive milestone. Thanks for all the hard work you put in. The show has been genuinely useful and encouraging for small practices like mine. I love how practical it is. You naturally draw out real, usable advice from your guests. In your solo episodes, I like how you reflect on the good as well as the challenges we face. It makes me feel I'm not alone in this. I'm really enjoying being part of your community. Thanks again, and bring on the next 100.
A big part of the Architecture Business Club has always been sharing practical advice that you can take away and use in your own business. So here are some quick-fire tips from past guests. We'll start with tips around content consistency and marketing.
A tip for the audience is it's an ongoing learning curve. Never stop learning. Podcasts like this are great ways to just stay up to date. There is always something you don't know, no matter whether you've been running the business for 5 days, 5 years, or 10 years.
Here's Ellie Senior, freelance copywriter and guest on episode 65.
Hi, John. Amazing to hear you now have no less than 100 episodes in the podcast can. I absolutely love listening to Architecture Business Club, and I regularly recommend you to clients in the construction sector. In fact, I also regularly recommend you to people who have nothing to do with the architecture sector. I've picked up some really great tips along the way and like sharing them too. A couple of my favourites have been Melanie Boylan, opening my eyes to how tragically I had been ignoring my Google business profile. Check out Ellie Senior Copywriting now, Melanie. I hope you'll be impressed. And Colin Gray's advice on how to be a brilliant podcast guest set me up wonderfully in the weeks leading up to my own episode on the Architecture Business Club. So congrats, John, and I look forward to hearing the next 100.
Hey, John, it's Melanie here. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast. And I discussed setting up your Google business profile to get more leads. I really enjoy being a guest and sharing practical steps that can help architects get seen by the right clients. Do you know what I really love about your show? Is how it always comes back to helping architects, not just with marketing, but with building businesses that give them some more freedom and balance. It's clear you really care about the people behind the practice. Just one top tip, please don't forget to update your Google Business profile, even if it's once a month. Just keep it alive with new photos, posts and updates. Even really small tweaks can make a huge difference to being found in search. Anyway, I'm still listening and I look forward to hearing your next episode soon. Take care.
Here's Colin Gray, podcasting expert and guest on episode 51.
Hey, John, congratulations on hitting that big 100. Such a milestone. It's amazing. You said to maybe give a tip for your audience, but I think the big tip is really to follow in that example, really. That consistency, that is how content works. That is how you create something that attracts an audience that then turns into something that can grow your own work, whether it's an architecture practice or whatever else. So really learn from that. Put aside a time in your week, half a day, a couple of hours even, just to create some kind of content that you think will work for your audience. And just to learn from something I was talking to a client earlier on about, actually, around angles as well, like that uniqueness. If you can niche down and find an area of your space, so maybe it's like, instead of just architecture, it's eco-architecture, or maybe it's an angle, it's a bit of your experience that you bring to it. You're not just an architect, but you're an architect that came from an artistic background. And so everything you talk about actually has that artistic slant on it. Those are the things that can make your topic stand out, your content stand out. So combine that with the consistency of getting someone out every single week, and you're sure to grow an audience. So congrats, John. Well done on hitting episode 100.
Here's Fabio Zammit, software engineer and guest on episode 48.
John, congratulations for creating such a fantastic podcast. You are truly a great host who brings so much love and passion to the show. You are a brilliant example of how a host can make guests feel both comfortable and engaged. Definitely someone we can all learn from. Not only did I enjoy the conversation, but it was also great fun to step outside of my own industry for a change. One tip I would like to share with the audience, just like in any area of business, persistence is key when building your web presence. John, I would like to wish both you and your audience all the best.
Next, some advice on positioning your services and making sure your clients are really ready to buy. Here's Susanna Ray, the UK's authority architect and guest on episode 92.
Congratulations, John, on your episode 100. A reminder for your listeners to focus on their USP. This is the unique service premise. We spoke about it in depth in our episode together. I'm Susanna Ray, and I am the authority architect. And I really encourage people to step up and own their unique perspective, what makes them different.
Here's service positioning expert Janine Coombs, who is a guest back on episode number 2.
Congratulations on your 100th episode of the Architecture Business Club podcast. I'm not surprised that you're in it for the long haul. You are an absolute natural. If I could give your listeners a tip, it would be to see their prospects and the people they're talking to who might be interested in their services through the lens of whether they are ready to take action or not. Do they have the budget? Do they have the willingness to proceed? Are they mentally able to proceed? Speaking to people who look vaguely interested but actually aren't ready to take any action is really dispiriting. So have that in mind next time you're having a sales conversation or you see somebody you think would be an ideal client. Maybe they're not. Are they ready to buy? Well done again. It's such a great podcast. Thank you for having me.
Have you got an interesting story about running your architecture practice? Have you done something different in your business that's been hugely successful? Or has a failure taught you an important lesson that you'd be willing to share? Then why not apply to be a guest on this podcast? Just click the link in the show notes to send us your details and get started today. And if you're joining us for the first time, don't forget to hit the follow or subscribe button so you never miss another episode. Now, let's get back to the show. Now for some tips on implementing what you learn, getting visibility, and stepping into thought leadership. Here's the sales lady, Helen Tebay, who is a guest on episodes 55 and 56.
Thank you so much for inviting me on as a guest to your podcast. And a massive congratulations on the 100th episode. I absolutely love this podcast because the sort of breadth and depth of the knowledge that your audience can tap into is just unrivaled. And it's always like the topics that, I see business owners struggling with, especially in a technical industry. So I think you're doing really well to support your audience, giving them massive amount of value, and then they get to go and experience that and use it and plug it into their business. I think keep doing future episodes like that for sure, things that people struggle with that people don't tend to share and talk about. Managing your energy, your mind, sales, marketing, all that kind of stuff is amazing. And a tip for the audience, I would definitely say, is to just make some time after the podcast, that particular episode that you were drawn to actually go and implement, because it's all good and well hearing things and listening to things. Connect with those people, those experts and those guest speakers, tap into their network, ask questions, learn, and implement. And then you get the best of the actual learning.
Hi, John. It's Antoinette Chappell here from Art Writing Translation Services. Thank you so much for inviting me to be a guest on your podcast. It was the first podcast I've ever done, and you made it very comfortable for me and very much put me at ease. So thank you for that. I really enjoyed the opportunity to talk about how I help C-suite executives and founders establish themselves as thought leaders. I actually bumped into someone who's an architect last week at a networking lunch, and he said he'd actually listened to the podcast. And I said, that's great. What takeaway did you get from it? And he said, well, it just made me realize I need to take up swimming again. Not quite the response I was hoping for, but there you go. At least it made him take positive steps. So I wish you all the best of luck in the future. I can't believe you made it to episode 100. I remember when I met you and you were talking about starting a podcast, and now here you are. I wish you best of luck with the next 100. And if you ever want me to be a guest again, I'd love to.
Here's Jackie Goddard, public speaking coach and guest on episode 42.
Hi, John. Congratulations. 100 episodes of your podcast. I mean, that's quite an achievement. What a milestone. So well done. And I was so honoured and happy to be asked to be a guest on the podcast with you. So thank you for the invite. And I loved talking to you about public speaking because it is what I do and what I love to do. And I do hope some of what I shared was of benefit to your listeners. So just to leave you with the 3 Bs, if you want to be a fabulous public speaker, you need to know these 3 Bs. So the first B is believe. Believe what you're saying, because if you don't believe it, your audience won't either. The second one, B for breathe. Nice, deep breaths. When you find your nice, deep belly breath, then that's when you get to support and sustain your voice with your breath. So breathing is a big one. And the last one, be prepared. Make sure that you're not winging it. Do it properly from the beginning. Get really researched and really well prepared. And once you've got your talk sorted, make sure you practice, and practice again. So congratulations again, John. And I look forward to listening to the up and coming next 100 podcasts. So congratulations.
Here's brand photographer Catherine Turner and guest on episode 90.
Hey, John. Just wanted to say thank you so much for having me as a guest on your podcast. It was absolutely lovely to be there with you. You are such a great host. I hope you're going to take all this praise on your 100th episode because it was well deserved. You really made me feel comfortable. It was like I could just see it, listen to the questions, answer without any pressure, without feeling like I've got to be fancy pants about my answers. And I could just answer and speak to you with just a normal human being. And it felt really, really easy to make it flow. And I love the edit. Brilliant. Absolutely super, super quick and super slick and super easy. The way you do that. It's magic. You are magic. I'd just like to leave your listeners one little tip, if I may. Traditionally, you may not want to be out there putting your face on your brand, but if you can just dare to brave it, then maybe you'll be the one that's different and you'll be stand out. Even if you have that kind of introverted nature, that's okay too. Introverts are allowed to show their face too. So go ahead, be the one to book your shoot, get yourself on your website and into your social media so that people can get to know the people behind your brand.
And finally, some guidance on running the business and keeping an eye on the numbers.
Mahmood Reza here from the accounting firm I Hate Numbers, founder, director, and author of the book of the same name, and also podcast I Hate Numbers. John, happy 100th episode. That's a fantastic achievement to go from nothing to something. You built up a great body of work. You deliver value to your audience. And I love your podcast in a sense that it gives something that people need as architects, gives them that support, that tapping into expertise and knowledge. It's said with affability, professionalism as well. Obviously, the fact you had me as a guest on your show obviously shows what good taste you've got. So architects out there of today and tomorrow, carry on listening, clock up that another 100 episodes, and make sure you build up those businesses that are sustainable, deliver your why, keep an eye on your numbers, and don't have any embarrassment about making money, making profits. Profits is what keeps you going, enabling you to do what you love tomorrow as well as today. John, I hope I can be a guest again on your show in the future. Until then, enjoy the glass of fizz, kudos and celebrations.
Here's Hayley Watts, productivity and habits coach and guest on episode 81.
Hey John, congratulations on 100 episodes of podcasts that cover so much diversity in terms of the things that we need to know for business. I absolutely loved my episode with you talking around habits and how we make work and life feel easier for people. It was one of my early experiences of being a podcast guest, and you really made me feel relaxed and comfortable. So I really appreciate that. I'm looking forward to seeing what's in the next 200 episodes.
Here's architect, illustrator and educator Chris Simmons, who was a guest back on episode 28.
Happy 100th birthday, John. You don't look a day over 45. It's your fellow architecture podcaster here, Chris, and I just wanted to say congratulations on making it to 100 episodes. You're doing amazing work. Now, we speak a lot about the power of consistency in our lives and in our careers, and you really have kept up the pace, continuing to produce high quality and really informative episodes for your audience. I do love how each guest is framed around a problem to solve or a specific skill that us business owners need to know. I really enjoyed some of the most recent episodes, like the one with Carl Turner or the one with Susie Lober. But obviously my favourite is episode 28, where you and I discuss the power of mentoring in architecture. So keep doing what you're doing, and hopefully I'll see you at the next Podcaster of the Year Awards. Thanks. Bye.
Hi, John. It's Anna Lundberg here from One Step Outside. Huge congratulations on hitting 100 episodes. I loved our conversation about breaking free from the 9 to 5, because one of the biggest pitfalls I see when you start your own practice is that you can end up just recreating your old job. Same hours, same stresses, just without the salary or support. The opportunity and really the responsibility is to pause and define your own version of success first. What do you actually want your business to give you? Freedom of time, more creative projects, financial stability, the chance to work locally, globally. Once you're clear on that, you can get intentional about your business model and you can design it around your life instead of squeezing your life in around your work. Funnily enough, I think you've rubbed off on me. I've started using some architectural language in my own work with an intentional business blueprint and even a new program called The Architect. So you've clearly had an impact beyond your industry. Congratulations again, John, and here's to the next 100 episodes.
It's not just about strategy and numbers, though. Many of our conversations have explored the human side of architecture and business, well-being, creativity, and the careers we want to build.
Hi, John. Tom Lewis here from New Works. Thanks for featuring our practice when we launched. The podcast is great. Congratulations on getting 100 episodes. It's really important that the business of architecture is highlighted as much as architecture itself, and I think your podcast is doing an amazing job of that. Here's to another 100.
Hi, John. Doug Hodgson here from New Works to say congratulations on the century and to say thank you again for the opportunity to discuss mental health and well-being in the architectural profession. and importantly, how we can change to a new way of working to address these important matters. As we discussed, the profession needs to value and respect our own well-being as individual architects, and not just looking to celebrate the architecture we're all passionate to help create. Hopefully, we'll be able to continue our conversation, encouraging more in the profession to work collaboratively within our specialisms to promote sustainable methods of construction and improve our collective mental health. Maybe the RIBA could help with that. Rather than pitting us against each other in wasteful competitions and expensive award ceremonies, they could work to unite us as a union for architects. Congratulations again, and look forward to catching up again soon.
Hi John, it's Mel Barfield here, previous guest and your friend. I wanted to say a huge congratulations to you for reaching 100 episodes. As a podcaster myself, I know the work that goes into creating a podcast and staying consistent with it. So we, with Indie Business Club, we've reached about 32 episodes at the moment at the time of recording. So we're not even a third of the way to where you are. And I just can't imagine how pleased you are, how proud of yourself. Hopefully you're proud of yourself. You absolutely should be, for reaching 100 episodes, triple digits. So huge congratulations, and just keep putting out excellent content. I know from my experience of being a guest of yours how incredibly thorough you are with your preliminary work before you interview people. I think a lot of interview-based podcasts could do with learning a thing or two from you about how to do due diligence. We've learned a thing or two from you about doing due diligence as well, even though ours isn't an interview-based one. I just think you're incredibly thorough, incredibly passionate about it, and that really comes through in the end product. So a huge, huge congratulations on reaching 100, your podcast century. Congratulations, and here's to the next 100.
A few people also shared thoughts on how the podcast could evolve, from roundtables and panel discussions to new topics for future episodes.
What I would love to see in future episodes is perhaps hearing the stories of, the entrepreneurs and the businesses that are listening to the podcast.
Hello, John. It's Ross from RAG Designs in Ingleton Wood. I'd be interested to hear something on Kobe and BIM and their role in big projects. We've got one on project at the moment. That'd be interesting to hear someone else's take on it. Love the content so far.
This is Bardeep. I just wanted to say a massive congratulations for reaching 100 podcast episodes. That's quite an achievement, and a lot of people drop off. So well done. And I just wanted to say how great you were as a host on the podcast episode that I was on. Very organised and a very natural conversation, which I love, as well as just generally the range of episodes that you have on your show covers a wide range of different business-related topics. So there's always something useful for all sorts of people, as well as the people in the architecture space. In terms of maybe what I would love for a future is maybe it could be an option for a panel or some sort of group around a particular type of service between some of your guests. Could be an interesting take. I don't see many people do that. Obviously, I'd love to be involved. And congratulations again. And thank you for having me as a guest.
It's Laura Pearman here. I just wanted to jump on and say congratulations on hitting 100 episodes. I think you and I could probably talk for hours about everything and nothing. And when we recorded my episode, it really did feel just like one of our natural conversations. That's a rare talent, to make people feel so at ease, and you've put it to great use, galvanizing connection here across the architectural community in the UK and beyond. One thing we touched on in my episode that really sticks with me is consistency. It's not glamorous, it's not a shiny quick win, but whether it's in personal branding or podcasting, showing up again and again is what builds real impact. And John, You're living proof of that with this milestone. Here's to the next 100. And I'd love to come back one day, maybe for a panel discussion with some of the other amazing branding experts you featured. What about a bit of a round table where we take questions from your growing audience? It would be a fun tete-a-tete and a huge value add for listeners. Congratulations, John. You've built something really special.
Before we wrap up, I just want to say a huge thank you to every guest who's shared their expertise, to every listener who has tuned in, and to everyone who took the time to send a message for this episode. Producing 100 episodes hasn't always been easy, but it's been one of the most rewarding things that I have ever done. So here's to the next 100. Here's Rachel Extance, communications expert and copywriter, who is a guest on episode 89.
Hi, John, and everyone in the Architecture Business Club. What a fantastic achievement, 100 episodes. That's absolutely amazing. And what a lot of things you have covered in that time. I think one of the brilliant things about this show is the variety. And when you start a business, you start it because you love what you do and you've got a talent for something. And then you realize all of the other hats that you have to wear and all the other things that you need to, that suddenly come on your radar that you had no idea about. And I think it's great to have a show that understands that's the situation that you're in and helps you with those things that maybe are new to you or that you feel are not necessarily the things that are your strong point, but also that talks about things in lots of different ways. So you have different people coming in that look at things from different angles. So if one organizational thing doesn't work for your brain, somebody's going to talk about something else which will. And somebody's going to come in and say, oh, you might have this problem. And it might be something that nobody's ever talked to you about before, but they are an expert in that and they're able to talk you through it. And I think that's such a wonderful opportunity and such a great resource that you can turn to something like this and find answers and people who get you. So again, congratulations on 100 episodes.
Congratulations on your 100th episode. It's Liz from Zing Interior Architecture. Just want to say what a great podcast it is. Really informative, great content. I've learnt so much since listening. And it's kind of like having my little online friend because every week I listen in to your calming voice and it's just really comforting.
So that's it for our 100th episode. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Next time, I'm joined by William Ringsdorf to discuss the problem of undervaluing your expertise and how you can fix it. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Architecture Business Club. If you liked this episode, think other people might enjoy it, or just want to show your support for the show, then please leave a 5-star review or rating wherever you listen to podcasts. It would mean so much to me, and it makes it easier for new listeners to discover the show. And if you haven't done so already, don't forget to hit the follow or subscribe button so you never miss another episode. And if you'd like to connect with me online, you can do that on most social media platforms. Just search for @Mr. John Clayton. The best place to connect with me online is LinkedIn, and you can find a link to my profile in the show notes. Remember, running your architecture business doesn't have to be hard, and you don't need to do it alone. This is Architecture Business Club.